Hey, what's up guys? That old dude here again today. Today we're going to talk about a kick-ass frame, a 6-inch frame called the Epic 262 version 2 by Multi-Copter Builders. So let's jump in and see what it's all about. So if you've never heard of a guy named Richard Shelton, perhaps you've heard of Multi-Copter Builders. Richard Shelton is the owner of Multi-Copter Builders. Richard Shelton has been the innovator of frames in the quad and drone industry for 4.5, 5 years, making some of the first multi-rotor long-range chassis that you might see on the market today. So today I want to talk about an Epic frame, and I use that term Epic quite frequently in this video because the name of the frame is the Epic 262 version 2 Epic by Multi-Copter Builders and Richard Shelton. So I'm going to zoom out here and we'll talk more about it. So the first thing you'll notice on this frame is the unique lower plate design that houses the arms and this really cool, innovative captain's seat. And we'll get to that part in a minute. The frame is made using 3K twill carbon, which is a pretty darn good quality carbon as carbon standards go. 3K twill is a very tight weave bonded carbon that makes for a very stiff chassis. You'll notice all the holes in this chassis, this frame, this lower plate, and you'll probably question saying, man, that looks pretty weak, but I gotta tell you, it's really strong for being only 1.5 mil thick. It's super strong for being 1.5 mil. And then the second thing you'll notice is these 6-inch arms. There's a unique, very dense foam sandwiched between two pieces of 3K twill carbon fiber that makes these very unique looking and also super, super stiff. I am putting so much pressure right now. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? And they're light as a feather because of that dense foam. I don't know the process of how this is done, but man, these are just super sharp and super light. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about it. Actually, I'm gonna put it together right now while I'm talking to you about it. Here's the bottom X, if you will, that goes on the bottom for the arms. So we're going to start with that. So the lower X plate that helps sandwich the arms between the center or lower deck between this X plate does not come fitted with press fit nuts. However, it comes with the press fit nuts. You just have to put them in yourself, and that's pretty simple to do. I've done all of them before this video and left one alone so I could show you how to do it. You simply put the press fit nut on the X frame. I'm going to call this lower plate the X frame, and put a screw through it. You want the serrated edges of the nut facing the bottom of the plate, and then you simply tighten your screw up, and that will simply draw these press nuts very evenly right into the back of this, I'm calling it the X plate it's the bottom piece. It's the very, very bottom piece that helps sandwich the arms into the lower deck plate. And you simply just tighten it. Sometimes I'll loosen it and then retighten it because the tighter you get into the press fit nut gets into this carbon, the harder it gets, and you don't want to strip out your screw. So I'll loosen it and then tighten it back up more and loosen it and tighten it back up more until it's seated correctly all the way to the bottom of this X frame plate. So once you have that done, the build continues. It's straightforward. So if you're laying the chassis or the bottom main plate crossways in front of you, whichever way you do, you want to make sure that this bottom X plate lines up, because if you turn it the other way, as you can see, it doesn't quite line up, and I believe that's due to the shape of the X. So that has to line up according to the bottom of this bottom plate. So what I do is I'm going to set that down, and then I'm going to take an arm and lay it. It has these two holes right here, plus this big hole, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I'm going to lay that on top of this, and then I'm going to place this lower frame, or lower, frame plate on top, and grab these, believe they're 10 millimeter or 11 millimeter screws, something like that. And all the hardware is stainless steel that Richard ships out with this chassis, with this frame. So I simply snug that first nut down, that first bolt down, and start lining everything up. And then I'm going to go ahead and put another one in. Now this is the 6-inch Epic chassis. Richard also, this is the 262 style or size frame, 262 version 2, and it's the 6-inch. And he also makes a 229 that is a pretty spectacular chassis as well. And I haven't had that in my hands yet, but I plan on getting one. Now, a common mistake that you would have in building this that I just made is, you see these end pieces aren't perfectly symmetrical. So they only go one way into this frame. So I've already messed up and put this one in upside down. But I caught that mistake, and we're just gonna unscrew it here and flip it over and start from scratch. I just can't say enough good things about this carbon fiber. I've had quite a few carbon fiber chassis, quad frames, and there's very few that I feel confident about because I crash a lot, that won't break. And I'm feeling pretty confident on this chassis about how stiff it is. The most unique thing about this chassis is those arms with that pressed, very dense, light foam in between those two pressed pieces of carbon fiber. So again, I'm not tightening up super tight these nuts just yet, these screws just yet, because I just want to get everything, make sure everything's centered properly, make sure everything's aligned properly. And as you can see, it's already starting to look like a quad. I really like multi-layer frames like this because parts are replaceable. Like I said, I crash a lot, and I'm not the best flyer around. I'm still learning how to maneuver, do tricks and stuff, freestyle. Still lots of practice to do for an old guy like me. But I have confidence in this chassis. The way the innovation that must have went into this chassis it shows that Richard has been into this hobby for a long time. Just the thought process of the lower plate, the main frame plate here, and sandwiching these arms together. And I mean, you're seeing a lot more frame builders do this more and more, getting more innovative, which is wonderful for us. I'm very happy. I think I enjoy building them just as much, if not more, than flying them. Just seeing some of the innovation that's coming out of the USA here with our dedicated flyers is just really amazing. Richard picked the name Epic, and I think he hit the nail on the head when he named this frame, calling it the Epic, because it's quite an epic frame as far as I'm concerned. Just the quality that's in this frame. All right, the last screw, and we've got pretty much the whole lower part of this chassis assembled. It's really that easy. 2, 4, 6, 8 screws. Oh, I'm missing one over there. Where did that go? Oh, there it is. I see it. And then I'm going to crank down on them, tighten them up. Some people may say, you know, use Loctite. You can. I don't see why you couldn't. I don't. I've never had a screw back out. I like to maintain my frames by tinkering with them all the time, so I'm constantly checking to see if any of the screws are loose, and I've really never had one back out, so I'm pretty confident that these will not back out, so I'm not going to use Loctite on them. I think I have a jar of Loctite. It might be all hardened up by now. That's how much I never use Loctite. Especially, well, maybe, I mean, on motors, I have used Loctite, and I might use Loctite on motors, but not on frames. Okay, the other very cool and unique part as we build up on this frame is what Richard calls the captain's seat, and for obvious good reasons why he calls it the captain's seat, because it looks like a captain's seat. And this is a 3D printed captain's seat. I'm going to call it a captain's seat because I don't know what else to call it, that holds your session camera and your FPV camera. And also, look at this, my Immortal T. I'm a huge advocate for flying TBS, Unify, and receivers. And so that's, and so is Richard. And for long range frames, which is what this is considered, mid to long range mountain surfing or water surfing or long range flying, is what this chassis was meant for and intended for. So I guess the next step would be to put this on. Again, all the necessary hardware Richard ships. It's high quality stainless steel and aluminum or steel inserts for this TPU style captain's chair. Everything fits just as well as you could consider it to fit. It's just again, a lot of time and thought went into the consideration of the design of this, because it's just, I'm gonna zoom out a little more if I can here. Let's see if I can get a little more. Because as I build this thing, as I put this thing together, I can tell you that it's just, I'm gonna keep using the word epic. It's one of the most epic frames that I've ever seen thus far. And I've been seeing a lot of epic frames, or a lot of cool frames lately, and I'll keep the word epic for Richard's 262 epic frame here, because it truly is an epic frame. So there's two inserts for the front of the I keep wanting to say canopy, captain's chair, and there's two inserts for the back. So, and then wait till you see what the top plate, where the top plate hooks. It's an amazing engineering, thought out piece of work that I just can't get over. I can't say enough good things about this chassis because of the innovation that went into it. The American dream that Richard's been keeping alive for himself is to build and have something epic that you can sell to others that can enjoy, And I think he's really hit the nail on the head with this one. All right, so here's the top plate. And again, it's a, it even says Epic in it, which is pretty cool. It's a, again, it's a 1.5 carbon fiber, very stiff, 3K twill carbon. And that's just going to go on top here, like this. And screw down into those standoffs that were inserted into the captain's chair. So hard not to say canopy, but it's not a canopy, it's a captain's chair. And it looks like a captain's chair, therefore it is a captain's chair. Put a little G.I. Joe on there and send him up in the air. But I'm going to put a session on there instead. Take some good quality video. Which, by the way, if you would like to see some good quality video, you need to go over to Richard Shelton's YouTube channel, which I'll put a link in the bottom description, and head over there and watch some amazing footage of mountain surfing and freestyling. Just amazing stuff, especially his most recent videos are just killer. Okay, now it came with 2 standoffs, but I opted to go with some more 3D printed stuff that Richard also offers on his website, multicopterbuilders.com. And so I wanted to go with orange to match the orange captain's chair. So I went with this orange TPU. It's going to be for my, I don't know what antenna I'm going to run on this yet. I don't know if I'm going to run the, it's going to be something for long range, I can guarantee you that. Anyways, so the 2 standoffs that would normally go here just fit inside this 3D printed antenna mount, and it's a very convenient place. Now, if you don't order this, that's fine. It comes with this rubber grommet to insert inside the chassis, so you can put your FPV antenna there instead. But I opted for the, it's probably adding a little more weight, I'm sure. But this chassis already is super light. I keep threatening to buy a scale, and I keep forgetting that I need a scale for my videos, because I'm sure people are wondering how much this thing weighs, how much the arms weigh, and I apologize for that. I'm going to step up my game and get us a scale here real soon. All that information can be found on Richard's website, on Multi-Builder, Copter Builder's website, and on his YouTube channel, I'm sure. And I'll update the description when I get a scale. I'll update the description to reflect how much everything weighs. Hey, come on, get in there. Give me a hard time now. Don't have everything lined up right, or what's going on here? Oh yeah, I got it. It's twisted. All right, there we go. So I don't know how much, I didn't set my stopwatch, so I didn't see what time frame we're at right now, but this can't be more than 7 or 10 minutes long that it took me to build this frame. Everything is lined up directly in front of you. It's quite easy to build, yet for its simplicity to build, just the engineering or the thought and innovation that went into this with this captain's chair, it's quite amazing to me. And then I also opted for some TPU 3D printed soft mount motor mounts and bumper guards to match the color of the rest of my build here, which again, Richard Shelton over there at Multi-Copter Builders supplies for you and has readily available on his website. Well, there it is. I mean, that was pretty fast, wasn't it? Oh, another thing I forgot to talk about is some of the other stuff that this chassis comes with is these dampening mounts for your flight controller. And the other cool thing about this chassis, and I wish I would have talked about it before I put this top plate on, down in here, these go inside that middle chassis to create a very low, they still bolt from the bottom, but they drop inside of the arms to create a very low profile for your flight controller, leaving you tons of space to build up if you need to. So I'll be, I have an idea of what I'm going to be putting in there. I think I'm going to be putting the Maytech F405 CTR. It has GPS capability, so I think, and a black box, which I haven't gotten into yet, but Joshua Broadwell makes black boxing look pretty cool, so I might be getting into that. It's kind of cool to be able to see flight information and whatnot. But this is the flight controller I'll be putting in this. Also on Multicopter Builders website, I bought some SPEDIX high voltage ESC 30 amp ESCs. I bought 4 of those, and then I've heard about them for a couple years or a year or two now, and I've always been intrigued, and I never owned any, so I now own, I'm the proud owner of my first set of PRIMOs by Multicopter Builders. 2207, 2450Ks are what's going to go on this chassis, on this airframe, on this multi-copter, and I'm probably going to run 6-inch props, dual props, that Richard recommended, and I also bought some 5.5 3-blade props that I'm going to try on here as well. So I'm really anxious to build this, and doing this video, it just gets me more hyped up about getting this thing up in the air. So I may do a build video with my electronics in the future on this, but again, I can't tell you enough good things about this frame. There's not too many dedicated people out there that that really put their heart and soul into innovating and creating something like this. And like I said, Richard Shelton, he's been into this for 4.5 years now, producing some epic some epic frames with his innovation and ideas and experience. His experience. If you go watch his videos and watch his flight videos, they're just amazing. They're surreal. They're like something out of Hollywood. So I recommend, I'll put the links in the bottom. I recommend you go and look at those. So again, thank you to Richard Shelton for his dedication to our hobby. Thank you for creating Multicopter Builders website, so we can purchase your innovative chassis, your frames, and I look forward to flying this. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, you can post them down below. And again, there'll be links to all these things in the description. And please subscribe to my channel for more videos to come. Thank you.